Secrets of the Sussexes, buckle up. If hypocrisy ever gets its own gallery, today's exhibit would hang in the central hall. The very same Mr. Britain is too dangerous, who has spent years telling courts and officials why he can't safely set foot in Windsor, suddenly pops up in Kiev, a city that lives under air raid sirens. No tremor in the voice, no sorry, I've got anxiety. Instead, serious face, fleece jacket, tight schedule, and a neatly staged legend of support for the wounded. Visually, flawless. In substance, painfully predictable. The picture opens with a familiar mise-en scene. Night train, intimate camera angles, a carefully curated privacy that somehow appears on every platform at once. Harry walks the corridors of a military hospital with the expression of a man who gets it, nodding, gripping a hand, saying exactly the right words for such moments. In the air, gratitude for attention, despair behind doors, hope in the eyes of people who've endured what none of us could. For a second, it feels genuine. A prince has come to see the wounded, to raise the issue, to help. But the second glance catches the old frame. Once again, the picture is bigger than the person. The war is not the subject of the shot. Harry is. And war, in his lens, becomes background. The Invictus Games were once a breath of air, a stage of victories, tears of joy, step-by-step recoveries from pain into motion. Over time, though, the stage has come to resemble a moving photo booth, where the main character is not those learning to run again, but the man supporting them. The hero arrives, speaks of initiatives, promises momentum, and departs. The more promises, the clearer the absence, not words, but length. Prosthetics require contracts and deliveries, not posts. Rehabilitation requires years of funded programs, not a day of inspiration. Psychological support requires consistency, not a visit with cameras to inspire. For this heavy arithmetic, what's missing is the one thing Harry chronically avoids: work without an audience. And yes, the week's most biting detail is timing. He had just left Clarence House with the face of a man politely but firmly told that families don't buy each other back with lists of conditions. Immediately after, a solidarity mission to Kiev, washing the London grimace away with moral high ground. First a sprinkle of royal dust, then a reel of moral altitude. For the running series I'm Still Relevant, it's a flawless plot point. For those changing bandages, fighting over medicine quotas, waiting for surgery slots. Just another visit from someone who's been applauded since birth. Different contexts, same outcome, optics salvaged. The safety question almost embarrasses to repeat. In London, endless letters, filings, lawsuits, explanations of why without what I used to have he cannot appear, cannot look up, cannot breathe. In Kiev, a tight perimeter, foreign protection, local coordination, and suddenly, fear switches off for the sake of the right frame. Not surprising, fear is selective when there's a strong script. If Britain is truly so dangerous, then what explains the easy stride down a Ukrainian hospital corridor? The answer stings, not geography, but control. Where the perimeter belongs to someone else, with simple rules: walk here, film here, leave here, Harold feels safe. Where the perimeter is his to share with others, he demands the world bend. Some will call this nitpicking. He came, he said the right things, he showed the world we haven't forgotten. But the ritual arrive say leave loses meaning when it becomes a series. Its value lies in exception, not repetition. In war, exception means risk. Not only physical, reputational. If you stake your dwindling trust capital, you'd better make it clear this isn't pain tourism but work for results. Return to the same addresses, check what happened after. Leave not a legend, but a paid invoice. Bring not a story, but equipment. Dismantle not fences, but problems. And don't tell us about it. For starters, at least a year. The sharpest part of this trip isn't even the ward photos, but the shameless clarity of the design. Harry does what he does best, collects light onto himself. Dissolves only slightly into people, feeds off borrowed courage, quietly shifts the weight of the world onto his own legend: I stand with those who suffer. It's a powerful device. Audiences forgive one man's weaknesses if 100 strong stand behind him. But war is no backdrop for redemption. When you arrive with your eternal look at me, those you supposedly came for stop seeing you. He shines a light, he raises awareness, he brings attention, his defenders insist. Let's admit, attention is currency. Sometimes the most valuable. But when attention is used as a substitute for action, it stops being worth anything. Tweets, posts, closing credits, dust, unless followed by a mobile unit, a rehab center, a funded prosthetic slot, a concrete supplier for a concrete hospital. That's why the inspiring visit montage eventually grates. Too often, all that's left is silent applause. And there's a detail you can't unsee. Meghan isn't physically present, but her shadow is the ever-present clause that turns any simple into complicated. Demands, conditions, statuses, forms of address, the folder Harry carries everywhere seeps even into places where it doesn't belong. Any attempt to help externally looks hollow if internally you still insist the world accept your version of the right way. War does not tolerate such conditions. It is simpler and harsher, either you're useful or you're excess. Someone will argue, but if even one veteran felt inspired, if even one child saw the world remembers, true. Perhaps that one is why such visits aren't banned outright. But in a war of this scale, the only reliable foundations are systems, not ones. Systems are built on predictability, funding, bureaucracy, all the boring scaffolding that bores those who live clip to clip. Systems don't love heroes. They love engineers. If you truly want to be useful, become an engineer of the process. Take on the dull work without cameras, without headlines, without personal journey. Then, maybe, for the first time, we'll believe you came not for the shot. The whole story stings because of the vinegar of past seasons. Funerals, anniversaries, ceremonies, private visits, casual encounters. Every time, the frame consumes the meaning. Every time, ritual gets appropriated as though life itself were an endless series premiere. The louder Britain is unsafe for me, the more bitter the echo, war is convenient for me. Not because it's safer, but because there the frame obeys. There the rules suit Harry best. I speak, the world listens. In Britain, the world no longer listens. It's tired of being background. Let's try, for a second, to be kinder. Suppose this time he truly wanted to help. Suppose he needed to see, to touch, to hear for himself, not for the camera. Then there's exactly one piece of advice that always works. Go back there without us. Without us, the spectators. Without us, the commentators. Without us, the headline writers. Go back and make after better than before, even for one clinic, one ward, one project. Then go again. And again. For a year. For 2. And don't tell us about it. We'll know anyway when one less desperate plea for help surfaces in the news. And now, the moral hit. Compassion that depends on a camera isn't compassion, it's a genre. The more you bring that genre into a hospital, the clearer it becomes that you're healing not them, but yourself. Love for veterans is measured not in visits, but in budgets, not in fleece, but in procurement, not in pauses in a voice, but in completed work orders. If Windsor terrifies you but Kiev doesn't, the problem isn't geography but the script you can't stop playing. Stop feeding it, and you may finally have a chance at truth. Without us. Without credits. Without look. Just do. And the cruel twist is this: it will count most the moment you don't even try to write about it.